Anybody like to go out for hiking and stuff like that? Outdoor activities? All right, so here it is. Again, this is not the a assignment, but just a review problem. So I only have about 5 problems, so we'll go through that. Did I turn in the on the recording? Yeah, so it's recording. So again, this is not the assignment for those who are watching the video. This is not an assignment, but just a review. And after this review, students will be taking a quiz. So please make sure to go to Canvas modules, and there is a quiz posted. So let's start from number 1. I'm just going to let you guys work on it independently, okay? Because you will be doing this on your own on quiz. Very similar to the quiz questions. Okay? I'm just going to ask you to answer a couple of questions, okay? So let me give you 1 minute and solve for X. Once you solve for X, will you share your answer in the chat? Now, for those who came in to the class new, speaking more to Allison, or those who may have missed classes for Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, just do the best you can, and we'll talk about it in a minute. Does anybody have the answer for number 1? Okay, so it's been a minute. Let's talk about the question. The first step of solving this problem is that you label. You have to do that, okay? You don't try to skip this step and try to do everything in your head, okay? You want to write it down, okay? The first, you identify opposite. Yes, well, this is a trig section. And so, yeah, I know this is a review problems. So hopefully, Allison, you can sort of catch up quickly. Yeah, this is a sort of like a review questions. And it's part of Algebra 2 as well. So the first step is to identify opposite, okay? And this is the opposite because it's opposite side of focus angle, okay? And then the hypotenuse is the side across from 90 degree. This is hypotenuse. And then the last one has to be adjacent. Okay. Next, you're going to pick sine, cosine, or tangent. Which one is this, guys? Is it sine problem, cosine problem, or tangent problem? This is a cosine problem. Thank you. Yeah. Why is that? First of all, there is nothing on opposite. So opposite is out. Okay, so you've got adjacent and hypotenuse, right, involving. So let's spell out SOHCAHTOA. Okay. Allison, do you remember SOHCAHTOA? Have you heard that before? Yeah. And anybody else? How do you spell SOHCAHTOA? SOHCAHTOA. And then the one that involves adjacent and hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine, isn't it? It has to be cosine. So cosine of 37 degrees equals what? Adjacent, which is 11 over hypotenuse, x. And then we are going to solve for x. How do you do that? So there are different ways to do this, essentially doing the same thing. But in our class, we set each other equal to fraction equal to each other, and we're going to cross multiply. Okay. So let's cross multiply. Cross multiplication says each diagonal multiplied together is equal to each other. So cosine of 37 times x will be equal to 1 times 11, which is just 11. Yeah. And since you want to solve for x, we need to get rid of cosine of 37 by dividing both sides by cosine of 37. So and that cancels out. So you've got x equals 11 divided by cosine of 37. Okay. So take out your calculator. 11 divided by cosine of 37. What did you guys get? 13.8. Very good. Let's try number 2. So do this all by yourself. Label. So copy down the triangle. Label. Set it up. Cross multiply. So, okay. One minute. Okay, does anybody have the answer for number 2? Very good. Thank you, Crystal, Gentry. Very good, Francisco. Seems like it's going to be about 8.1. Okay. So again, the focus angle is now right here, 32. So here's the opposite. Hypotenuse is always across from 90 degree. And there is nothing on hypotenuse. Okay, so I'm just going to cross it off, and then we've got adjacent. So we've got opposite and then adjacent combination. Okay, and that is what? Opposite, adjacent. That's tangent problem, isn't it? Okay, so tangent of 32 equals, it is opposite over adjacent. So it will be x over 13. Now this time x is on the top. This will be a little bit easier than before, because if you cross multiply, you just get 1 times x, which is x, right? So x equal the other diagonal multiplied. So x equals tangent of 32 times 13. Okay. So tangent of 32, close the bracket, then times that by 13. So you get 8.1. Is anybody getting wrong answer, even though if you type in tangent of 32 times 13? Again, the other thing that you have to be careful is that your calculator needs to be in degree mode, not radian. Okay, so make sure that you go to the mode or setting in your calculator and change into a degree. That degree is highlighted. Okay, you will have different numbers. Wrong answer. Okay. Okay, you know what, number 3, let's not do that. I think we are okay with those two review. Now, the other things that we've done is that we can use the sine SOHCAHTOA to figure out angle measurement. So let's do number 4. So again, I'm gonna let you work on that by yourself. 1 minute. And please share your answer with the in the chat. Yeah, no, I skipped number 3, Layla. Yeah, so skip number 3. Let's do number 4. Okay, let's talk about this. Can I put some of you guys on spot? Annette, which function are we going to use? Is this sine, cosine, or tangent? Can I ask you on that? You can just do a direct message to me. You can unmute yourself or type it in the chat. What do you think? Annette, if you can hear me, would you be willing to share? What do you have? Is it sine, cosine, or tangent? Yeah, this is going to be cosine problem, isn't it? Right? It's opposite. There's nothing on opposite. Hypotenuse is this side. And this has to be adjacent. So it's an adjacent hypotenuse combination. Yeah. And that will be hypotenuse and adjacent. That's cosine. Yeah. So let's do, it's a CAH, right? So cosine of angle, in this case, it's a theta. Theta is just a dummy letter, right? That's what math people call it. It's just a letter, unknown variable. Cosine of theta equals 12/13. Now, how do we find the angle measurement? You are not going to cross multiply. If you try to cross multiply, don't do that, okay? But to find the angle measurement, you guys remember, you're going to reverse the process, okay? And the reverse in math is called inverse, okay? So you're going to use inverse cosine of 12 divided by 13. And the inverse, the symbol for inverse is that little negative first power. How do you do that in calculator? Just right above cosine button, right there. Do you see that? Cosine and negative first power? That's the inverse. So you have to go second and then cosine button. Now I've got inverse cosine. And then you do 12 divided by 13. Yeah, and then I press enter. 22.6. Okay, so that's how you find the angles. Okay, I've got one more question here. Okay, wait a second. Is that it? I guess. Wait a second. This is for the geometry class. we are actually doing the same thing, but you guys are doing more though. Actually, you guys are going really faster. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Let's do two more problems. Okay. Now let's do number 3 and number 4. I was on geometry page. Now, but the other thing that we've done, which was covered yesterday, was on 45-45 triangle and then 30-60 triangle. We can do all the combinations of it, but let's do a couple of problems, number 3 and number 4. Okay. So 45-45 triangle is called also shortcut problem because you don't have to do sine, cosine, tangent to do it. You could find out x by just forgetting about y, and you can do opposite, hypotenuse. And so this is a sine of 45 equals x over 4. And then you cross multiply, x will be sine of 45 times 4, okay? And actually, so you could do that way, sine of 45 times 4, you get 2.8. However, that's one way to do this, okay? But if you do know the ratio that we talked about, you don't even have to do that. If you have a 45-45 Y triangle, the ratio is that, for example, these two sides are always equal to each other. For example, if it is, let's say, 7, the other side is going to be also 7. And then the hypotenuse is always square root of 2 times more than 7. So it's a 7 square root of 2, okay? So that's the ratio that we are talking about. Now, if the hypotenuse is a 4, is there any way to get back to the shorter, the legs? Well, in this case, in order to find the hypotenuse, you multiply by square root of 2. Then in order to get back to the leg, you will divide by square root of 2. You guys remember that? So x is going to be 4 divided by square root of 2. And if you do that, does anybody have a calculator? Can you do 4 divided by square root of 2? 4 divided by square root of 2. You get 2.8. And it's the same thing as that, sine of 45 times 4, isn't it? And it should be the same, okay? So they are, but you didn't have to set up sine, cosine, tangent to solve it. Okay. You can just immediately, if you know the ratio, hey, I have to divide by square root of 2, or I have to multiply. So if I have a question like this, if this is 6, and if I ask you to find x, what is x? Well, in this case, you multiply square root of 2. So the x will be 6 square root of 2. That's it. And it's really easy, isn't it? The other shortcut problem that we've worked on is this 30-60 problem, triangle, okay? And so the ratio that we've talked about, I'm going to write the triangle in this way because that's how I rewrote the notes, right? The ratio is, and let me give you with an example. If this is, let's say, 5, if the short leg is 5, then the hypotenuse, which is this side, is always double. So you multiply by 2. So the hypotenuse is going to be 10. And the other leg will be, you multiply that by square root of 3. So it is 5 square root of 3. That's right. Short leg is always the opposite side from the 30-degree measurements. Yeah, that's a good way to describe that. And then the hypotenuse is always across from 90 degree. That's a hypotenuse. And it is the short leg and the hypotenuse that is double half relationship. Okay? So for this question, which side is the hypotenuse? Is it the V or U? Hypotenuse is a U, isn't it? Thank you, Deborah. So if the short leg is 2, what is a U? It's double. So it's 2 times 2, which is 4. You didn't even need to set up a SOHCAHTOA to do that, right? And then what is a V then? Well, you're going to multiply square root of 3. So it's 2 times square root of 3. Actually, let's do number 5. Am I going too fast? I hope you had a chance to write this down. Yeah, sweet. Another clue is that we've talked about is if you are trying to figure out the longer side, you have to multiply something, right? If you're going from the longer side to find out shorter side, you have to divide by something. Does that make sense? So for example, for the last question, number 5. Yeah, we're not going to do this one here. You have, this is hypotenuse, right? Because it's the opposite side from 90 degrees. You want to find y first. How do you get back to y? So you have to divide by something, right? What do you divide by? You will divide by, in this case, it is the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse on the short leg is double or half, so you have to divide by 2. So the y is going to be 16 divided by 2, which is 8. Yeah. And now the y is 8. How do you get to x? Now you're going from short to long, so you have to multiply by something. How do you go from short leg to the longer leg? You gotta multiply by square root of 3. So it's going to be 8 square root of 3. And that will be the x. I don't know, I've made a mess on this, but I hope it made sense to you guys. So this is what we've talked about from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I hope this was helpful. Probably you knew that it was good, but I just wanted to take a day to just a review and give you a quiz. Now I'm going to dismiss you guys, but Allison, again, if I can just talk to you for quickly, that'll be great. The quiz is published in Canvas modules, so please go to Unit 4, and you should be able to see the quiz in modules. And please take the quiz right now, okay? And so that's what I expect you guys to work on for the rest of the class time. even though it will probably take about 10-15 minutes. Okay. If you have any questions, please talk to me on Monday. Okay. And I will be happy to go over with you. Okay. And some of you already taken the quiz. So appreciate that. You guys have a great weekend, and I will maybe see you guys on Monday or definitely on Tuesday. Okay, so have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Take care, guys.